I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I have a lot of my wife's family and my married family that comes to church here. I know this is a shock to many of you. It is humbling, I guess it is, that you guys trust me to be your pastor, and you know me, and you've known me for all my life. And that's humbling to me, that you trust me, that you come to church and you're faithful to be at church. And it means a lot to me. Reason being is, how many have family and you go, I wouldn't let them lead me across the street. Amen. And to have my family, I was up there playing, and I was just looking out. That was this morning. I was looking out, and man, there's a lot of people that are connected to me that have known me a long time, and you guys continue to come to church here, and you allow me to be your pastor, and that's humbling to me, and I appreciate that. You have no idea the responsibility that falls on my shoulder with that, because I don't ever want to let you down. I don't ever make it look like I'm trying to be holier than thou, because I'm not, and you know me. And so, I told my brother-in-law Joey one time, I said, I would much rather you be my brother-in-law and love me than come to church with me and be mad at me. You know what I mean? I would much rather him just be my brother-in-law, and I see him at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I don't have to go, oh, hey, how you doing? I would much rather, not that he's ever been angry with me or that I know of. I mean, I don't know. But I just want to tell my family thank you. My mother-in-law comes, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys and your faithfulness. You guys are always here. And for you and for the people that aren't connected to me, family or marriage, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for coming. There's a lot of people that don't have church on Sunday night, and we do it just because it works for us. I mean, if it didn't work for us, we'd do something else. I'm not saying if you don't go to church at 6 o'clock on Sunday night, you're going to hell. God didn't put that in His Word. He just told us to assemble together, right? If it didn't work for us, I wouldn't do it. If there was 4 of us here, we'd probably not do this. But it works for us. And someone asked me the other day, well, you still have Sunday night service? And I said, well, yeah. Well, how come? I said, well, it works for us. It just does. I mean, the churches, we lose about half the crowd. We average anywhere between 130, 140 in that area. And on Sunday night, we have about 60. And so we lose about half. But that's still pretty good for a Sunday night. And so I just wanted to share that with you, that your faithfulness matters. And it matters to me, and it doesn't go unnoticed. I don't think it goes unnoticed to a lot of people, but I just wanted to share that with you and tell my family how much I appreciate them and love them, that they allow me to be their pastor, and I appreciate that. Tonight I want to speak to you for just a little while. It's already almost 7 o'clock. Man, it's going to get 7:30 before we know it. Amen? Hallelujah. I want to preach to you for just a little bit about being a way maker. And so, promise keeper, light in the darkness. And so, that is who you are. But a way maker, about being a way maker. If I knew that song, I would have sang that song tonight. But I don't know that song. And so, I talked about being a way maker for somebody in your life. And not just being somebody in the way, but being a way maker. Being someone who forges a trail for somebody else. Because regardless if you like it or you don't like it, somebody's watching your life. Somebody is coming back behind you. Somebody is following your footsteps. And in Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 1, it said, God created the heavens and the earth. God created the heavens and the earth. God made a way that man could be created. He, number one, made a place that men could dwell. So God's always been a way maker. Because before that, the earth was what? Void and without form, dark, and there's nothing there. God had to make a way. And in my church that I get the privilege to pastor, I don't know, I've preached it and I've screamed it for 8 years. I watched a sermon or listened to or read a sermon or something that I preached 6 or 7 years ago, and it sounds like something I could have preached last week. About being a waymaker, about being somebody that's a forerunner for somebody else. I've preached it, I've screamed it for almost 8 years now. That we cannot just be people who come to church, we have to be people who are forging a way for somebody else to come behind us. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but you're not going to live on this planet forever. You will eventually die or be raptured. Your body will eventually go by way of the grave. Eventually, and somebody's going to take your spot. I will not be here forever. If I have my way, I got about 15 more years, and then I'm going to turn it over to Landon. Okay? And I'm going to pass the baton. Okay? But I have about 15 more good years left, and I'm going to pass the baton because I don't plan on being in the pulpit at 80 years old. Not full time. That's my plan. It may not be God's plan, but that's my plan. I'm going to be driving a church van and picking up kids for somebody and feeding them on Wednesday. I'm going to be that old guy driving around in a church van, picking up kids and bringing them to church. That's what I want to do. When I'm 80 years old, I don't plan on having the full-time pressure of leading a church. I don't want to do that. That's not my desire. My desire is at 65, 66 years old to go help somebody and be a help to somebody and just be a blessing and be able to financially help them and support the pastor's vision and push him forward and encourage him. Even when I think he's being goofy, encourage him and say, come on, you can do this. And that's my plan. But I want to be a way maker. I want to be somebody that somebody can follow to Jesus. I don't want you to get lost in the woods because I got lost in the woods. I want to be somebody who's able to take what God has created and show it to somebody and bless them and take them and show them this is the way God wants you to go. This is how you get to Jesus. That's my desire. Because in Genesis 1:1, when God created the heavens and the earth, He also created a place and a plan and a part and an area where men could be and they could dwell and they could multiply and replenish the earth. God made a way when there was no way there. God is the only one that can reach into darkness and find an invisible doorknob and open a door that nobody else can see. Amen. God's the only one who can take you from one place to the other, and everybody says, how'd they get there? I'm a better singer than them. Yeah, but you're not submitted like they are. I'm a better musician than them. Yeah, but you know you're a better musician, and you let everybody know about it. Yeah, I'm a better teacher. Yeah, everybody knows that because you told them that. I'm a better preacher. Yeah, we know. But you have to be submitted to God. And let God work in you and God work through you. God made a way that man would be created. And in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, I don't know what... I'm about to choke. But I can't put this nasty thing on there. Because it's just nasty. Okay. Genesis 3, 1 through 7. That's Exodus. That's not Genesis. All right. Genesis would be the first book of the Bible. Okay. Holy cow. All right. Genesis chapter 3, 1 through 7. Ready? Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat it, nor you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for God knows that in the day that you eat it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desirable to make one wise, she took of the fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Verse 7. Then the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. When men fell into sin, God made a way. Now, I'm not going to spit and holler like I do on Sunday morning today. We're going to break it down. Okay? Whenever God makes a way, it's up to you to either follow that way or not. You have an opportunity. God gives you a choice. The thing that I try to get across to people when I preach and when I teach and when I do things is the Bible is not a book of destination, of destiny. It's a book of decisions for a destination. That makes sense?
Yes.
You have to make the right decisions. And if you don't make the right decisions, God doesn't throw you away. He just lets you retake the test. Some of us have never gotten over the math part of church. What do you mean? You've always had to take a retake of the same test. You go through the same things because you fall into the same sin because you like that sin and that fruit tastes really good. And every time the devil dangles it in front of you, you eat of the same fruit over and over again, and God just sews the fig leaves together and puts you back on the same path to go right back through the same test again. And so many of us are still stuck in the garden because we have not ever passed the test and we've fallen into sin. And when we do that, God gives us an opportunity to make a different choice. I believe in destiny, and I believe that God brings people into your life. I believe that God has a destiny for you if you'll choose the right path. On our sign it says, find your destiny. I did that about 6 years ago, whatever it was, back when that was big in my spirit. I don't know why I put it on the sign, just because I'm goofy. And so, anyway, but I put that on the sign for this reason. Find where God would have you to go. Find what God would have you to do and do it with all your ability. What is it that God has called you to do? When men fall into sin, this is what happens. Listen, God made a way for sin to be abolished in our lives. God made a way for sin to be taken away from us. How? In Genesis 3:15, he says this, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed, and he shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. It's a prophecy of Jesus. In Genesis 3:15, we already have a prophecy of Jesus, where Jesus is going to crush the devil. And the devil's going to bruise him, but Jesus is going to crush him. So we already have that. We already have that prophecy of the way that Jesus is going to make a way for us to be out of sin. We sang that song today. We sang that song, won't we have a time when we get over yonder? Won't we have a time when we get over there? But listen, can I share with you that God has made a way for us to get over there. God has made a way God has made provision for us to stand and say, listen, God, I know I messed up and I know that there's sin in my life, but God, if you will, for just 1 second, give me an opportunity. I will find my way to Christ, and Christ will take away my sin. Are you willing to be a way maker? Come on. Listen, I know I'm boring you, and it's going to take you about 5 minutes for you to start checking your emails, but hang on just a minute, okay? Listen. Are you willing to be a waymaker for people? Whoa, what got quiet? What do you mean? I need a church that's willing to be waymakers. What do you mean? This is what I mean. I need a church that puts ourselves aside and put other people in front of us. And said, I've got to find a way to get them to Jesus. That's what I need. I am not that important. that nobody else is as important as I am. Hey, baby girl. Hi. Hi. She loves her Uncle Jeff. Okay, so listen. I am not that important. That nobody else is as important as my family. Nobody else is important as that. Listen, you can get real religious. Hey, baby. You can get real religious and say, nobody's praying for my family. Nobody loves my family. Nobody. That's a lie. It is true that we have things in our life that sometimes we have issues in our life that we forget to pray for other people. But listen, the Bible says this. The Bible says that I should not to sin against you by failing to pray for you. So it is my job to pray for you. I have to be a waymaker. I need a church of waymakers. I need somebody that says, listen, I'm willing to be a waymaker for you. She's preaching with me. Come on, baby. Listen. David threw the stone. I talked about it this morning. David threw the stone. But to throw the stone, you have to face a giant. Oh, come on, somebody. In order to have the victory, you have to face the battle. You can't be cowards and be Christians. What do you mean? You can't run at every time the devil says boo. Every time the devil comes against you, you can't retreat and say, well, I didn't mean to make anybody mad. No. Stir it up. Stir some things up in the spirit. Are you willing to speak some things into some people's lives? Listen, we've gotten so far away from what we used to do. Do you remember speaking things and saying, you know what? Hi, baby girl. And saying things like, God, I declare over them and their families that they will be blessed, coming in and going out. That they will be healthy, and they will not have sickness in their lives. Nobody ever do that? I declare over Heike that she will be healed and her feet will be well, and she will not have to just be. She always says I look at her. It's because she has 2 different color socks on. It's kind of distracting. I don't know. I looked at her. I looked at Steve and Paula today because their marriage is in trouble, evidently. I don't know. I'm really not looking at you. I'm kind of looking through you. So I don't really know. But anyway. But remember declaring some things in your life and over people's lives? You remember the story of Noah? And Noah had to build an ark. He built the ark, but he had to face a flood to build an ark. You're going to have to face some things. I wish I could get up here and tell you that every day is going to be fantastic and you're never going to go through a hardship. You're never going to have trouble in your life. I wish I could tell you that your business is going to take off and it's never going to have a slow period. I wish I could tell you that. I wish I could tell you that your job where you go to work, there's never going to be downtime. You're always going to be happy at what you do. That's not going to happen. There's going to be times in your life where you don't like what you do. Sorry. Where you don't want to get up. It's probably, if you're not doing what you're, listen, if you're not doing what your dream job is, there's times you're going to get up and go, I don't want to go to this thing. I don't want to go sell tortillas in the morning, and that's God's honest truth. I don't want to. I don't. It's 7 o'clock, okay? And in 10 hours, I'm going to be selling tortillas, and I don't want to. I don't. But it's a necessary evil for right now. Just something I have to do right now. But Noah built an ark, but he had to face the flood to do it. Joseph saved his family. Good job, Joe. Okay, Joseph saved his family. But he had to face prison and slavery to do it. Are you a waymaker? Are you somebody who's willing to do the heavy lifting so somebody coming behind you doesn't have to do it? Are you willing to be that person that said, God, I'm going to trust you? We have a Highway 99 project going on. And can I share with you, that's heavy lifting for me. It's a lot of stinking money. We've spent about $500,000. Pretty close. And we have the outside done. But we have a lot of other stuff done too. You have a septic tank that you can flush the toilets and they'll go right to the... That's good. That's great, man. Hallelujah. We got some dirt knocked down. We got walls up. We got stuff done. Stuff. And it costs money to do that. And I am so tight, I don't want to spend $50. Because that's $50 for $50 for what? And Kevin can tell you, I'm always like, oh, how much is that going to cost? You know, that's my first question that always comes out of my mouth. Well, what's that going to cost us? How much is that going to be? Well, because everybody wants $10,000 to move a rock. You know, so, well, we need to move those 2 boulders. That'll be $15,000. What? Okay. And so anyway, well, you have to get some people involved because you can't move rocks in this place I want you to. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Anyway. So Joseph saved his family, but he had to face prison and slavery. The disciples turned the world upside down, but they had to face the world to turn it upside down. Come on, somebody. So let me ask you a question. Are you a way maker? I thank God for the people who went before us. I got a lot of bad teaching, but I got a lot of good teaching in between. I did. And I'm so thankful for some of us that waited. We waited, not waited, but waited. Okay, we didn't wait, but we waited. Okay. We waited through some of the junk, but we're still here. We treaded water, if you will, to find our own way. Because some of us, you know, my sister, she harbors a lot of anger of church. Just stuff that was thrown on her being a girl in a Pentecostal church. And some of you girls can say amen. That's a good place to say amen, and y'all missed it. She harbors a lot of hard feelings about church. Because number one, if you wore pants, you're going to hell. If you put makeup on, you were going to hell. She didn't go to any of her proms because she was going to hell for dancing. I didn't ask, I just went. I just did it. I went to 4 in a row and didn't ask for any one of them. So I was just going to go to hell on a slip and slide, I guess. I don't know. That's what we did. I don't know. I just paid for my own tux. I paid for my own stuff. Nobody paid for nothing for me. So I just rented a tux and went to the prom. I told her, well, why'd you ask? I said, you're supposed to ask your parents. I'm like, I guess. I just didn't. I had my own car, I had my own money, I had my own stuff. I just did my own thing. I don't know. I never asked I go to work. So anyway, so here's the deal. So I just went and did my own stuff. But some of that stuff, she still harbors hard feelings about it. And I understand that. But in that process, though, we understood that those folks who made a way for us loved us and showed us what God's love was about. They cared about us, and they were afraid to let us go into the sin part because they were afraid that sin would eat us up. And they were just trying to help. They weren't trying to hurt us in any circumstance or any way. They were just trying to help. So I understand that those that have gone, listen, you have to wait. You have to fight. That's what the Bible says to figure out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Find it yourself. Find it yourself. Find out what's the truth for yourself. The disciples turned the world upside down, but they had to face the world. Listen, if you're a way maker, you have to face what's in your way. What keeps you from doing what it is that God has told you to do? ask, serious, what keeps you from doing what God has laid on your heart? Well, I don't have education enough. Well, I don't have enough money. Well, I don't have the nicest this, and I don't have the best that. Okay, excuses. What keeps you from doing what God has called you to do? 2 socks. What happened? Listen. I know she. What keeps you? She's such a brat. Listen. What keeps you from doing? Y'all stop it. What keeps y'all from doing what it is that God has called you to do? Is it, well, my spouse won't let me? I'm afraid if I do this, my wife will leave me. I'm afraid if I tell my spouse what God has laid on my heart, they won't understand. I get that. Because you've lived one way for so long, now you're going to do a 180, and then like, where's this coming from out of left field? Let me ask you another question. What is it that's keeping you from doing what God has called you? How are you not being a waymaker when God has called you to do something that's going to make and forge a way for somebody else to do something? I think about this a lot. Listen, with Darren and Brian and Lauren, and they were doing all the stuff they were doing back in the day. They opened up doors for young men to do things that no one else had ever done. That no one else had ever gone to churches that I knew of and broke bricks and stuff and then gave a gospel message just to get the kids' attention. And then when you got the kids' attention, be able to speak to Jesus in their life, and they went all over the world doing it. It's amazing what God did because they were waymakers and they opened doors to think, listen, Brian's still doing it. 20 some odd years later. He's still making balloon animals and blowing stuff up. That seems silly, doesn't it? But he's being a waymaker because somebody's coming behind them, and someone's coming behind Brian, because Brian's not going to be able to lift trucks with his lungs forever. I hope. I don't know if he may do it. I don't know. He's been doing it forever. But I don't know how he's opening doors for somebody because it's a different way. It's just a different way of reaching people. But they're waymakers. And Darren probably didn't think of himself as some waymaker, and that's fine. But he was. And he is. A waymaker of doing something different that people were like, wow, we've never done this before. No kidding. I was a clown in the gospel minstrels, going up a ladder doing the priorities skit and falling off on the ground because I didn't have my priorities right? And that's silly. Jesus isn't a joke. No, he's not. But you kind of are. Okay? If you don't understand the process of trying to get kids involved and doing something they understand and then telling them about Jesus, I can't help you. You're too spiritual for me. You're too holy for me. Then I will do anything but sin to let them know about Jesus. Amen? Listen, if you're a waymaker, you have to face what's in your way. We don't always want to face those devils, though, do we? I told you a couple weeks ago or last week that my wife and I feel in my spirit, are going to a different level, and so we're fixing to face a different devil. And as Sherlock always says, higher level, bigger devil. And so we're moving up. We're going to a different place, and so there's a different devil coming after us than has ever come before. Because as you move up and you elevate, God elevates you, the devil does everything he can to keep you down there. Help me somebody. Come on tonight. Help me. Because if you are going to be a way maker, the devil's going to fight your way. He'll put a Goliath in your path. He'll put a flood coming so you can't get your ark built. He'll make a way that you can't get in the way. God let me fight over the weight of the devil. What does that mean? The devil has tried to put a weight on us. God has said, listen, I'm going to give you all the things that you need to be set free because God wants me to fight the devil in the place that I'm at. I can't fight the devil of my youth, but I can fight the devil of of my now. Are you with me? God, let me fight that. Listen, God, let me fight not enough money, devil. God, let me fight that devil. Listen, the biggest problem that most Christians face is financial. I heard a preacher, Ron Carpenter, say this the other day. The area that the devil's fighting you in the hardest is the area that he knows if you're going to get a breakthrough in that area, you will do great and mighty things in that area. What do you mean? If your family, you're having a hard time in your family, the devil knows if your family ever gets right, you're going to hurt the kingdom of the devil with your family. If your money is never good, if you're always broke, the devil knows that if you ever get financially secure enough that you're able to put things in the church, you'll bring destruction to the kingdom of darkness. Listen, I'm going to throw this at you. And I don't raise your hand. I just want to ask you this. Have you ever been able to give a $1,000 offering? If you're in the spirit, you're like, no way. There's something wrong. Because there's something about that $1,000 level when you give it, there's a step up. It has nothing to do with the amount. It has to do with the trust factor. I wouldn't say that at all. That wasn't in the notes. But if you've never been able to, okay, I'll just break it down. Have you ever been able to give a $100 offering? At one time, not a pledge, but a $100 offering. Where you took a $100 bill and you put it in the offering. If you've ever been able to do that, that's another level. Because many in our church, and I'm just going to throw it out there, I'm going to throw you under the bus, still give $1 an offering in Sunday school, and you've been doing it for 35 years. And that's fine. If that's what you have, that's fine. But you want a $1,000 offering blessing on a dollar bill. You want to stay in the same level of giving, but you want to receive higher in receiving. And it doesn't work that way. Oh, Jesus, thank you for the two that's right. Amen. And I'm not taking up another offering, so you're okay. All right? I'm just letting you know. You fight the devil that's in front of you. And the biggest devil that most Pentecostal Christians face is the financial devil. Because number one, you don't believe you deserve better. You say you do, but you don't believe you do. Woo, Jesus. Thank you, April. Amen. I'm going to go on because y'all going to get mad. If I go on, y'all going to get mad. I'll guarantee you. Listen. God, let me fight that backsliding devil. That devil that causes you to back up instead of go forward. Nothing new, God, nothing. Listen, God, I don't want anything to change in my life. I just want, God, right now, I just want to go straight on like I've always done, Father. I don't want you to listen. Don't raise me up, God, because I don't want to fight another devil. Don't let me go down, God, because I don't want to backslide. Just leave me right here. That's hard to be a waymaker that way. It's hard to be a waymaker that way. Because listen, you can't make a way when you've already plowed that field 1,000 times. And God's telling you to go to the next one and get the next one ready. God, I like the way this one looks. I got all the rocks out of this one, God. I'm good right now. The stumps are gone, God. I got this one looking good. And you look over at the other field, and there ain't nothing but grown-up woods. And you have to start all over again. But a different level. Okay. I can tell right now, I might have to do some teaching on some level taking. I can tell right now. I've been too easy on you. I've been too easy on you. I haven't put a demand on your faith. What is the demand on your faith? To stretch you. To stretch you. To make you go, oh, I don't know if I can do that. That's when you step into faith. As long as I can touch the bottom, I ain't going to drown.
Right. Right.
But you get out in the middle of the ocean where you can't touch, you get ate. You get eaten by a shark. You get out in the middle of the lake where you can't touch, and that catfish that looks like a Volkswagen comes up. Oh. Listen, you don't ever wonder why those people jump off the boat and they never resurface? I'm just saying, I don't know. Gerald got 12-year-old granddaughter noodling. I'm like, knock yourself out, baby. Pull back a nub. Anyway, listen. Whew. You got to, sometimes, listen, okay. That's not in the notes, guys. I promise you. Listen. Sometimes you got to get uncomfortable.
That's right. That's right.
Everything God does for you, you're not going to feel comfortable doing.
That's right.
You're not. God ain't going to make it easy every time. You have to step out on nothing sometimes. Sometimes you have to step out there and just believe God. It ain't just about your stinking money either. Do you really think that God's interested in your little green slips of paper? It has nothing to do with those green slips of paper. It has to do with obedience and giving your life. What do you mean giving my life? This is what it means. This is what it means. You work to earn money, right? I don't work because I like it. Well, I do come, but I don't work because they don't pay me. I work because they give me little green slips of paper that I trade for electricity, water, gas, fuel for my car. Okay, we exchange these little green slips of paper. But what happens is this: is that God says, I don't want your little green slips of paper because I need your paper. But the amount of time you spent to make that is giving me that part of your life. Okay. What do you mean? When God asked me for a $1,000 offering, I don't have $1,000. Then He won't ask you for it. God won't ask you for what you don't have. But He will ask you for what you do have. Oh, Jesus. Okay. He won't ask you to, listen, if you don't have $100, He ain't going to ask you for a $100 offering. But if you have $100, I guarantee at some point, He's going to ask you to give all of it. Have you ever signed the back of your check and put it in the offering plate? I have. Twice. Yeah. And you want to know that last E on Nance on the back of it was hard. Because we didn't have savings. We didn't have grandparents to give us money. We didn't have all any of that stuff. We had Wrangler, and I gave away 2 Wrangler checks in my lifetime. And that last E on Nance was sure hard to write. Because we sure enough still had bills to pay. Put it in the offering and never look back. Why? Because God asked for it. What do you mean God asked for it? God spoke to my heart, and I talked to my wife, and I said, God spoke to me to do this. She said, well, you better do it then. And then she started trying to figure out how to sell cans and stuff to pay the bills. True story. Because she worries about that stuff. God, I don't want anything different, God. I just want to, listen, I'll try to hurry up. God, let me be a way maker. That I could just follow somebody else's, I could follow somebody else's path, and I can lead somebody else to Jesus. I want to be a way maker. I want to be somebody that teaches you and shows you how to trust God. Now, you have to do it on your own, but I can show you a way to do it. When we're facing real devils, when we're facing real problems, and not just stuff, but real things in our life, we need a way maker. Can I share something with you and I'll leave you alone here just a minute? If you're the smartest person in your room, you're in the wrong room. What do you mean? If you're the smartest person in the room, if you're the smartest person in your group, you need to find a new group. Why? Because you need to find somebody that knows more than you, that has been through more than you, that has touched God greater than you've ever touched God. Because you're going to find yourself in a position that you don't know what to do, and you're going to need somebody who has been through something to help show you what to do. So if you find yourself and you want to be the cock of the walk, I'm the smartest person ever in the history of our group. Great for you, but you're in the wrong group. I want to be the dumbest one in the group. What do you mean? I want to be the most ignorant one in the group. Why? Because I want somebody to be able to teach me something. I want to walk and I want to follow you as you follow Christ. I want to be able to be taught of you and show me. Show me what you know. Teach me what you know. I don't want to be the smartest. I want to be in the presence of greatness. Show me. So that when you're facing real devils, and you have real problems, you need to find somebody who's a waymaker that's been where you haven't been. We need somebody to take us into the ark. Somebody help me a minute. I need to know how to build it, but I also need somebody to say, hey, it's about to rain. What do you mean it's about to rain? You need to get in the ark. I've already been through this once. Get in the ark. I've seen the situations. Get in the ark. I need someone to throw the stone. We need someone to lead us into the path that we can't find. Listen, I need a Moses to lead me. I know I'm Pastor Jeff, but I need a pastor. Pastor Jeff don't mean nothing to God if I don't know how to be pastored. Somebody show me how to lead, how to follow. Listen, no one can do this by themselves, and no one, can always be on their game. You've always got to have somebody to help you. You need someone to make a way for you. We need a way maker for our lives. I'm looking right now. I'm looking for somebody that I can connect with. I'm looking for somebody that's running about 500 people in their church. I don't need somebody running 12,000 because I can't even conceive that. I need somebody that's running about 500. I can conceive that. I'm not looking for Joel Osteen to help me here. Okay? I love Joel, whatever. And if Joel comes calling, I'll be right there. Okay, that's fine. My brother Joel, love you. Okay, listen. I'm just looking for somebody that's running about 500 people so I can see how they do things. Because I don't plan on having 130 for the rest of my 15 more years. Amen. I plan on being a way maker. Looking for somebody who's been through families that have been divorced and gone through things that I can learn from them. What did you say to them? How did you counsel them? What happened when you said this to them? What happened when this happened? What did you do? And most pastors will tell you this. I can sure tell you what not to do. Most of them don't have any clue. But they can tell you what not to do. Don't do this. If I had it to do over again, I would do this. That's how it is. But why would I not learn from somebody who's already walked through it instead of finding my own path? Oh, come on. Come on. Help me. Listen. I need a way maker. In John 14:6, Jesus said He's the way, the truth, and the life. He has walked where we haven't walked. He has cut a path through the forest. Why would we try to continually go through the forest when Jesus has cut a path for us? He is the ark. He is the stone. He is in Potiphar's house and in Potiphar's prison. He was the original disciple. And he faced the world from heaven, earth, and the cross. He knows. He is the way. You are his disciple, so you have been given the ability to be a way maker. How many love the Lord? Come on, raise your hand. How many know that you're saved? Raise your hand. How many aren't ashamed of it? I'm not ashamed of the gospel. I'm not ashamed. So guess what? You are called to be a way maker, a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. That is who you are. When you give into this church, you're making a way. There are so many young people that come here. And some of them, honestly, I don't know why they're here. They don't listen. They don't want to be here. But God keeps drawing them here. When you help in a ministry, you're a way maker. When you open the door for people, when you are in the foyer shaking hands and just they see a smile, you're a way maker. Someone made a way for you. How many came to Jesus at a church? Someone made a way for you. Someone sucked it up, Buttercup. And they put a smile on their face. And they walked into the house of the Lord. And their life may not have been perfect, but they were making a way for somebody else. I love what David and Lisa do with our remnant group. I love how they love you and care for you. I love it. I love how they put on a happy face sometimes, and I know it's hard to put on a happy face because you're tired and you'd much rather be in your recliner, but you're going to be here on Tuesday night teaching the Word of God. I know that feeling. Not all the time, but sometimes. To be a way maker. To be here, to give out. And to say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give out what God has given me. Listen. Will you be the one who makes a way for someone else? Are you that person that's always wanting somebody to give you something? Or are you that person that always wants to give? I love the offering time in the house of God. I do. I don't always have a lot of money to put in the offering. But I love it because I'm giving to my God. I can't give you anything, God, but I'm going to give you this. I love the preaching time because I get to preach and I like to preach. I love the music time because I love music. I don't have to play and I don't have to sing. I just like that part of it. I don't, listen, I can exit myself at any time. And I'm perfectly happy. And I'll sit right there, and I'll stand right there in that pew by my wife, and I'll worship. Because my worship's not connected to my playing and singing. It's not. I promise you that. I won't miss church because they won't let me sing. Won't. Because I can stand right here. Waymaker, miracle worker. I'll stand right there. Light in the darkness. That is who you are, what you are, whatever you are. I didn't notice that. Okay, whatever. I'll read it on the screen. David made fun of me one time at Christmas. We're singing Christmas carols and I didn't know the words. And he said, "What are you singing?" I don't know. I'm just singing. It was a little town of Bethlehem, like the third verse. Who knows that? Nobody knows the third verse of the little town of Bethlehem. A little town of Bethlehem. Something, something, diddly do. Nobody knows. Nobody. I'm kind of a little watermelon. They don't have any idea. David's laughing at me. It's like, what are you singing? Don't worry about it. Just Keep looking forward. Okay, listen. All right. The biggest myth about Christianity is this. The thing about Christianity is that it's about me getting from God. It's not about me getting from God. I received salvation from the Lord, and He's given me abundance. He has. That's not what Christianity is about to me, about me receiving stuff. I don't care. I don't care. Houses don't impress me. Cars don't impress me. Bank accounts don't impress me. Don't care. Don't care. I've seen some of the best people I've ever met, powerful people of God, not have two pennies to rub together. But they were powerful people of God. And I've seen some of the people that have a lot of money, and they're powerful people of God. So that doesn't impress me. What impresses me is, did you make a way for somebody to follow you? Or are you going to sell a book for $500 to get somebody? We've got it all figured out. If you'll come to our seminar, here's a $500 book, and you can figure out what we did to make ourselves successful. It's not right. It's not right. The biggest myth about Christianity is it's about me getting from God. That's not true. When we are supposed to be moving people to God. I'm supposed to be a testimony to God. There's nothing wrong with having that stuff, and I don't care if you have the biggest house in town or the smallest shack. I don't care. That's between you and God. That's between you and your faith level. I can get into that, and that's another issue that I don't have time to get into tonight. But what is abundant to you? What is your abundance level? What can you handle and not walk away from God? Can you have $1 million in the bank and still depend on God? Or do you have to have 0.6 before you can ever depend on God?
Right. Good.
Are you asking McDonald's if you can have what's about to throw out? Abundance? Or do you have abundance to buy everybody in the church McDonald's? What can you handle? That's where we're at. We're supposed to be moving people to God. Listen, making a way for others, not simply making a way for me. I've already found my way. I already know where I'm supposed to be going. I've already found Jesus. Now it's my turn to make a way for somebody else to find Him. It's my turn to tell you how blessings come in your life. Blessings don't come in your life because you want it to. Blessings come in your life through God, through being obedient to God, and listening to what God tells you to do, and making the right decisions. When I started this little dissertation, I talked to you about the Bible not being a book of destiny, but a book of destination. Because it's a book of decisions and how to get you somewhere. Right? Okay. And so, if you make the right decisions, good things happen in your life. If you make the wrong decision, God doesn't throw you away, but He brings you back full circle, and you'll have another choice to make the decision again. It's completely up to you. So can you be a way maker? Will you be a way maker? And are you a way maker? What is a way maker, Brother Jeff? If you don't know by now, I don't know if I can help you. A way maker is somebody who cuts a path to get somebody to where they're trying to go by following after you. They're following Jesus as you follow Jesus. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. Right? If I'm not following Christ, don't follow me. But as I follow Christ, follow me. So you guys, listen to me. Leadership especially, listen to me. Listen. Can somebody follow your life to find Christ? Can they follow you? I'm not saying they can't. I'm just asking. Can somebody follow your life and follow your steps? Can somebody follow your life and have a good marriage? A biblical, godly marriage. Can somebody follow your life and have a good financial foundation? Biblical foundation of finance. Can they do that? That's all encompassing of walking and being a Christian. All those things are not, listen, it's not just about being saved. It's about having everything in your life follow after God. That's where we miss it. Finances don't have anything to do with God. Lie. My marriage doesn't have anything to do with God. Lie. Everything in your life has to do with following after Christ. Everything. Can you be a waymaker? Can you show somebody how to get to Christ? I don't answer me. Okay? Keep this to yourself. If you had to lead somebody to Christ today, how confident are you in your ability to do that? Could you pray with them? Could you give them an answer to a question? Well, how do you know God's real? I know God's real because of what He's done in my life. Just give them your personal testimony. This is what God did for me. Yeah, that works for you. No, it works for everybody. Everybody has the same opportunity. Jesus paid the debt for everybody to have the same opportunity for eternal life. Not everybody's going to accept it, but He paid that debt for everybody to have opportunity. I'm not telling you that you don't have a choice in the matter. You do have a choice. But I'm telling you who Jesus is because I know Him. I've tasted and seen how sweet He is. I know exactly what's going on in my life. So I'm going to ask you this. If you had to, could you lead somebody to Christ? Many of you have sit in church now for 40 years with me. 50 years. And I'm asking you, if you had an opportunity and God opened the door, could you speak to somebody and show them how to follow Christ? And then could they follow your life and notice that you're not full of baloney? I'm not saying they can't. I'm asking you a question. Are you saved?
Amen.
Are you sanctified? Are you filled with the Holy Ghost? Are you the same in church and out of church? Listen, angry don't work in church and it don't work out of church. Cussing don't work in church or out. No. Get that tongue under the blood of Jesus. Get delivered. Get set free. Listen, church, I want us to be waymakers. I need a church of waymakers. People that can lead from the least of us to the whatever of us. Lead. 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 That's what I need. I've got to be better about doing that and leading people to lead. Amen? You don't just lead because you were trained to lead. Very few people were born leaders. Most people are trained leaders. So we've got to get better at that. Amen? Stand to your feet with me, please.